What's going on, guys? Bel Air back here with another video. Today we're gonna rock with a MENA pro who is about to make his second straight World Championship appearance, and that is Venom. Venom last season played as a part of Twisted Minds, a roster who has had so many iterations it is difficult to keep them straight, and has played for quite a few teams this season as well. Bravado, Twisted Minds, even Roll 1 for a stint. MENA has been very tough to keep your head on this season, as we have had a lot of rosters jockeying for position as Nwpo is shifted around, and everybody just kind of is looking for any combination that can possibly match the quality of Team Falcons, which so far has been impossible, almost impossible at the world stage as well, let alone MENA. But Venom is somebody with a lot of talent and experience at the top level. Like we said, last season he was at the World Championship as a part of Twisted Minds, which at the time was SMW, Venom, and Senzo, if I remember correctly. And that roster didn't do great as the MENA 2 seed, but, you know, as we always say, very tough to contend at a World Championship if you are the Apex, SSAs, and MENA 2s of the world, just because there's so much other talent that is floating around out there. But Venom is somebody who has been impressive in spots and has left a little bit to be desired in others. So today we're going to look at a couple of games from Venom from the Open Qualifier 6. He is playing alongside Mesho, who is now a part of this anything roster that is going to be making its World Championship run here, as a little bit of a funky replay bug there from my Bacchus mod. Hopefully you guys don't have that as well. But there's a lot to try and get organized and understood here. First things first, this anything roster, so funky. We have Nwpo, who is the up-and-coming talent that has kind of been supposedly going to rise to the top and battle the twins for MENA diplomacy here. So far, that has not been the case. Nwpo has had a bit of a rocky season here with some off-the-field stuff that came into the play and ultimately had him removed from that Rule 1 roster. Now he's a part of anything for the World Championships, but it just came out a couple of days ago that Twisted Minds have picked up Nwpo. So he's basically on loan for this anything squad, who are, you know, a non-organizationally represented team who will be making the World Championship, and their best player isn't even technically on the roster for the future. So really bizarre situation. Probably not anticipating really great results from them, unless maybe it's a situation where it's just like, hey, we got nothing to lose. That was a crazy pinch there. Maybe it's just like, hey, we got nothing to lose. Let's just go out there and give it our all. I really think this is just an opportunity for Venom to show what he has here, and that's why I wanted to spotlight what his gameplay is looking like at this current stage in his career, because back-to-back World Championships is nothing to scoff at. That's definitely pretty remarkable, especially for a MENA region who is continuing to try and find decent parity throughout their ranks. It's pretty much been MENA controls the show here, and I am really looking funky on this replay. Hopefully not the same for you guys as well. I'll check this out afterwards and see if we can get the next one to look a little bit better here. But, you know, for a MENA region that is looking for some talent to be behind, you know, that top dog, maybe Venom is somebody who organizations look at as someone who has that experience going into next season. Now, like we said, he's been a part of quite a few rosters that have always been, you know, around that top 4 mark. Bravado, Twisted Minds, Rule 1 for a stint, even all the way back to, I think he was a member of, I could be wrong, but Cola for a time here or there. He was on Team Falcons way back in the day before they really became the dominant force that they were with Khaled, Ahmad, and TRK as well. So Venom is somebody who has been around, but from what I've seen in previous lands that he's been at, it's not just a him problem, although he has been connected to quite a few of the rosters, but these MENA 2 seeds really seem to struggle to, how do I say it diplomatically, to finish the job, for lack of a better term, excuse me. Pretty commonly, we'll see situations where, you know, they have a couple of games up on a team, and then, you know, they'll, you know, end up suffering a reverse sweep, or they'll be in the driver's seat to take a big game, and then they'll give up a couple big goals there at the end. They just lack that killer instinct that you would anticipate from some of these teams. As this is potentially about to go to an overtime, except nope, Venom with an icy pass here to Nwpo to shut things down here. So he's just gonna calm that nice and early, and then Nwpo with just a routine double touch there to end up dropping Bravado Gaming here. This is from the quarterfinals of the Open Qualifier 6 here. This was game 3, if I'm not mistaken, perhaps game 2 of a series that ended up being a sweep here for anything. So let's watch a little bit more of the gameplay and break down what Venom is doing on the pitch here as we go into their semifinal matchup. All right, potential closeout game 6 here against the electric Team Rock. If you follow Fear's content, or, you know, general RLCS content, you might have heard of this Team Rock before. All incredibly young, mechanical players from MENA who are another part of that, you know, shuffle that we've continued to see, and that rise and pivot of talent in MENA as anybody tries to figure out a combination that could contend with Team Falcons. Ended up being a lost effort this season, but worthy opponents here in the semifinal, as Nush is going to just track down like a heat-seeking missile Venom to try and get one on the board here. But here comes Venom and is just going to get an absolute layup at the other end. I don't know who that was from Team Rock who missed that, but we'll call that one an oopsie for 2-0. A 3-1 series score here for Venom and this anything roster. It's hard to find games where Venom or Mesho are the #1, or the MVPs, I suppose, for this anything roster. It's essentially the Nwpo show. Even more so, it is give him the ball, find ways to facilitate to him. It is kind of the, to the nth degree, what First Killer was to Rogue way back in the day. It is about as heliocentric as we get. But Venom is a great support player, and like we said, he has that experience to kind of know his place, and is a willing off-the-ball option here as Nwpo. This is not a video for you, my friend, but what on earth? Nwpo is going to fake. Nush loses all of his momentum and is just going to dunk that one down for the double touch there for 3-0 already, just a minute and 15 into this game. I really like how smooth a lot of these MENA players are. SMW is somebody who every time I watch, I'm just like, oh man, you know, another one who is constantly on rosters who can't end up finishing the job, but just buttery smooth on their movement. And this one is just quickly falling apart here for Team Rock on the other side, as anything continued to punish them. 4-0, we're not even halfway through this game here. But, you know, just the way that they take off, the way that they utilize power slides, you know, even just taking off to that ball there, and then the very, very quick looking off ball just to make sure that you're putting it right on the hood of a teammate, are all things that I really appreciate about Venom. As this one is just getting so weird. The ball is just kind of floating in their own box, but everybody from Rock is backed off, and Venom tries to find one just behind the ears of the defenders there. And man, really not what you want to see from Team Rock's defense here. But maybe you could look at it the other way and say, man, a ton of pressure here by anything to make this one pretty untenable halfway through here. Venom's going to rotate out. He's just going to wait. Him and Mesho are communicating well there, and is just going to use all of his boost to get a challenge on the ball. They're not looking to let Team Rock have anything here in transition, as the passing play is going to fall apart and Venom just tries to put one on target. Somebody's really got to commit to this one here. He doesn't even have any boost, but yet he's allowed to use the corner of his car to get some pace on this one, as Nush has got to do a better job defensively to get to that one. 6-0. This one is clearly already over, as we're seconds away from hitting the halfway mark, and anything have just totally sucked the gravity out of this game and this series, as they're about to find their way on course to a grand finals, as Venom is going to take control, tries to get the cut for 7-0, and there it is. Very, very impressive. They've really killed him off of the kickoffs. Team Rock have looked awful defensively and have not been communicating well, as the only thing they can try and do is get on the board here for the Brazil, which is almost worse. But anyways, let's just see how Venom is kind of rotating here, and there's the Brazil for us. As you know what, this one is pretty much already over. I think the series score on this one ends up being a Brazil. Let's go ahead and check in on the score here. Venom with 3 goals, 2 assists on 4 shots. Let's go ahead and hop over to our grand finals against Team Falcons to see what Venom and anything are trying to do against the final boss of the Middle East North Africa region. And we'll finish off this video to give some thoughts about what we'll anticipate from the upcoming World Championship. But first, a word from our sponsors. Today's video is brought to you by Belvita breakfast bars. Guys, I don't have a good sleep schedule, I'll be honest with you. And a lot of times I do what I think is probably the worst thing you can do to start your day, which is wake up and instead of getting out of bed like a productive adult, I lay in bed. I reply to some emails. You know, by the time I finally get up and get off of Reddit, I don't have enough time to make a breakfast. This is where Belvita comes in. It's great, but it's also a little bit of a curse, because I know I always got Belvita sitting in my pantry that I can just eat instead of making a proper breakfast. But hey, they're delicious. They're usually cheap. I shop at Publix, so I get them on BOGO all the time. So shout out to Belvita for powering more of my life than I am proud to admit. All right, let's get back to the video. All right, Grand Finals, Game 3. Tried to watch Game 1, which was a close one, and we had Venom as the MVP, but the replay was super, super buggy. I don't know what it is about these MENA replays, but the first game was a little funky too, that we watched in this video. But I digress. Game 3 now. Falcons are up 2-0, and you got to win this one. I definitely don't think anything feel super confident that they're going to win this series, but if you go down 3-0 to Falcons in the Grand Finals, it's basically wraps. So this is a must-win game, whether they want to admit it or not. Let's see what kind of performance Venom is able to put up. He started out the series on the Octane, maybe trying to go up-tempo, get some speed, some control against this Falcons roster, but now has switched on to the iconic MENA Fennec here. So let's see what he is able to conjure up against one of, if not the best team in the world, depending on how you slice it. This Team Falcons team, man, I mean, they were definitely the favorites at the London Major that we had recently. Ended up, of course, not being able to win it. There's been a ton of discussion on whether or not, were they nervous? Did they choke? Is that why they lost to G2? I ultimately think that G2 were just in full form. They had full confidence and really believed that they could take down any team. But, you know, if you went back to Swiss, Falcons definitely looked like the best team in the world. So definitely not disappointing for them to make it to a grand finals. But they are going to be one of the teams who definitely are bringing everything to the World Championship to try and secure what they think is rightfully theirs after controlling this region the entire season. Venom going to get a kill there in the middle. Trying to slow down the pace here of this Falcons team, but he is going to miss that boost in the corner there, it looks like, the big boost. So he's in kind of a tough spot. Is just waiting out. This Team Falcons team doesn't want to be faked in the midfield. He's the first player up there. So is just trying to preserve his boost and make sure that he can be impactful once they finally break out. But the question is, will they break out? Tries to get a little touch on the ball to get it out of a dangerous spot, but Colliers is going to jump all over it as they strike first here against this anything roster. Man, Colliers Didn't get the boost, tried to get the demo, but ended up just getting a huge bump there in the corner as Nwpo is going to force one. I feel like in every single game that we've watched so far, and of course it's always anecdotal and a small sample size when we're watching 3 games per video, but Nwpo is just doing everything for this team. It really is a shame that, you know, he has had the a lot of ways by creating it himself, the season that he's had. Seems like he is just so talented when he has the ball on his car, but you know, some of the off-field stuff has made it a bit of a challenging road. He's almost like Allen Iverson in that way, where he's like the most talented player in the world. I remember, if I remember correctly, it was AI before he went to UConn, where he had gotten some trouble. I think he served a little time, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he was just, you know, doing some juvie type stuff, but AI was, you know, killing everybody. And, you know, the Sixers ended up taking a chance on him, and AI had, you know, possibly one of the most impactful careers of any NBA player in history. But, you know, some of the off-the-pitch stuff made it a little more checkered than you would hope. Venom here tries to get out to this one. That was a good opportunity for Nwpo to find a teammate, which is something that he's not always great at doing. He had Venom on the sidewall there with not a lot of boost, and if he could have just found him, maybe Venom could have tossed it back into the middle, but he tried to get a couple of chain dashes, wall dashes rather, to catch up to the ball, but was unable to do so, as continuing to hold on to boost here, and just going to end up folding here. How do they end up going down 2-1? Venom tries to catch up. Rawas calls his bluff. Tries to go upfield for that big boost, but it isn't there. And just the Mesho, not a good touch in the midfield, is going to leave Nwpo in the goal, not able to get around to the squishy save. 2-1 here for the Falcons in a critical Game 3. I am interested to see what we're going to get out of this anything roster. I think we're to the point where some of these APAC and SSA teams that we're going to be seeing are very competitive. And there is certainly a world, we've seen it get pretty close in the past, as not a heads-up play there from Venom, who hopefully isn't going to give away the dagger here, but that read into the middle is not what you want. Mesho was pushed up a little too far out of the middle to make any contact with that ball, but that is a quick turnover and transition here for Falcons. If you're going to beat them, you got to be firing on all cylinders, and handing them easy ones like that are not the way to get it done. But these APAC and SSA teams that we're getting are probably going to be incredibly competitive at this upcoming World Championship, and depending on how this anything roster feels coming into this, you know, they obviously are here in kind of a funky way. They held on to their points by, you know, keeping Mesho on the roster, who was the sub for Rule 1, and, you know, I think Khaled might still be a sub, so they have kept on to their points and made this World Championship on some technicalities, we'll call it, not to even talk about the Nwpo to Twisted Minds things that we started the video with. But I wonder if this team is going to kind of show up and try and get a, you know, a nobody believed in us kind of run here, as Falcons are going to end up icing the game that was already over. As we have Nwpo going 1 goal, 3 saves. Venom couldn't do much there. Just got that save at the end of the game there that didn't end up really meaning much. A very, very quiet and poor game for him and a closeout, which is something that we had talked about earlier in this video, kind of lacking that killer instinct and unable to show up in big moments. But hey, this World Championship is kind of a freebie for them. You know, I don't think there's any expectations that are being placed on this team. So maybe Venom, for himself and for the wider community, can use this event to kind of show what he has and correct the narrative for himself and for us on his ability in the biggest moments. So that is Venom, a player who is always very exciting to watch, and it's going to be interesting to see how this MENA region ends up breaking out for next season. You know, obviously Falcons are the top dogs. Is there some kind of iteration that can use Venom as a, you know, maybe a third option on a team to contend with that Falcons? It always seems like an improbable feat to overcome the juggernaut of the region. Of course, we saw that with BDS previously. They end up falling by the wayside. We saw this with what was the Carmine Core team this season, missing a main event. We recently did a video on Rise if you're interested in learning more of my thoughts about that Carmine Core roster heading into the World Championship. And even with Vitality, they won the Spring Major, they won the World Championship last season. Everybody says, how can they possibly be beaten? They're yet to repeat as champions this season so far. So Team Falcons clearly have the throne in MENA right now, but there could be a roster next season that could include Venom that ends up challenging them. I think it really comes down to belief in yourself that you can play against those best teams and win against those best teams. And this is a big opportunity for Venom to get another feather in his cap and show what he can do on the international stage. So excited to see this anything roster and Venom in particular. What do you guys think of Venom, and what are your, kind of objectives or thoughts for this anything squad heading into the World Championship? Would love to know your thoughts below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for checking out the content, and until next time, take it easy.